Here to tell you the truth, tell you I'm nervous, tell you my story, tell you I'm worth it, tell you my flaws and my faults and my doubts, give you my heart and what's left of it now, tell you my hurt, tell you my pain, tell you the thoughts I keep trapped in my brain, tell you that nothing's the same, tell you I'm nothing much more than a main, and tell you I fear I may never find love, tell you I'm getting in touch with above, and right now can't deny that I'm scared all this music I wrote won't compare or warrant the buzz.
What is good, everyone? Richard here from Weed City Soul. We're here to do a performance review on the Adidas D-Lillard 2. Now, I have been hyped to get my hands on a pair of D-Lillard 2s. He's one of my favorite players. I've heard nothing but good things about these shoes online, and there are two performance aspects of this shoe that I was incredibly interested in testing out, and that is the new bounce cushioning from Adidas and the Continental tire rubber on the traction. So let's get right into it. So let's take a look at the cushioning. What you're going to see on this shoe is full-length Adidas bounce cushioning. Not to be confused with Boost, although this cushioning system does have a fair bit of spring to it. It's a really bouncy, really responsive foam. Adidas seems to be upgrading their lower tier models from that Adiprene Plus that they've been using, or even sometimes regular Adiprene. It's just such a dated technology. I'm glad that they went with the bounce and introduced it on this shoe. It's a little bit like Under Armour's Micro G as far as how it feels under your foot, although Micro G, as far as I've seen, is usually implemented in a little bit more of a low profile manner. The midsole on these is pretty thick, and that did affect the court feel somewhat, especially in the forefoot, but for the most part it felt great underfoot. It's comfortable, impact protection was great, and when you're running up and down the court, that little bit of bounce that you get from it felt really nice in transition. Onto the upper of the shoe, you're going to see a large panel of woven material that runs up the lateral side of the shoe. This is a material that you find in other brands at a much higher price point, but Adidas is offering this at $105. The shoe features large mesh panels on the medial side and synthetics along the eye stays, which hold these large plastic eyelets. Although they do have this chrome finish on them, but they're not metal. Onto the heel counter, you see a large chromed out heel counter with the Damian Lillard logo on it. Now, it's not the stiffest heel counter in the world, and these large triangular cutouts here actually help it flex a little bit, so I wouldn't worry about it being too stiff in the heel, especially with a heel counter this size. Usually shoes tend to be a little rigid, but this one was nice and flexible all throughout the upper. I didn't have any problems or any hot spots while I was wearing them. And that's mainly due to this one-piece neoprene, or I guess they call it tech fit on the D-Lillard 1 sleeve. This sleeve was very comfortable on the first shoe, but it did an incredibly poor job of securing your foot to the footbed of the shoe. It was really just an awful fit on the first D-Lillards. But the fit on these is much improved. It's still not incredible top of the line lockdown, but it's pretty good. Again, we're going back to that $105 price point. The shoe works pretty well once you've got it all cinched up. You might have to adjust it a fair bit in the forefoot because, again, the neoprene sleeve does a lot of the fitting for you, so you really have to cinch up either side of the shoe to get a good lockdown while you're wearing these. But once you're cinched up, they do a pretty decent job. Support is provided mainly, again, by this large heel counter, which does a good job of securing your foot into the shoe, as well as these large pieces that the shoe uses for eyelets. There's also a pretty sizable forefoot outrigger on this shoe, which I appreciate because I've been noticing that outriggers have been getting smaller and smaller lately. They're attempting to get away with the least amount of material on the outsole that they can, I guess, to reduce weight, or I'm not sure why, but I'm glad to see that the outrigger on these is considerably larger than what I've been seeing lately. Now, onto the traction, another part of the shoe that I was really looking forward to testing. The shoe features Continental tire rubber. This is tire rubber. It smells like a new tire, and it does a great job. This is some really sticky stuff. there were the times when I was walking in the gym on a linoleum part out in the hallway, and I was making an absurd amount of noise because of how sticky this traction was. On the court, they don't squeak a ton; they squeak a little. I like my shoes to just squeak a lot, just so I know it's working. But they do their job. It's very sticky, and you can stop on a dime. You do have to wipe every once in a while because the traction pattern is very close together. You get a little bit of dirt caught in there, but it's not a constant wiping type issue. So what I would say about these is that as long as you keep them clean, you should be getting A1 traction from them. If you play in a clean court, you probably won't even have to wipe that much. You're going to be good to go. On top of working very well in court, you can see that it is a storytelling traction there. It says Oakland across both shoes, Brookfield across the midfoot, and Sugar G on the heel. I don't know what Sugar G is, but it says it. Now this shoe, in my opinion, has some great details on it. This chromed out heel counter looks really dope, in my opinion. You can see the light catching it. It's really flashy. I just think it looks cool. The woven upper has this rose print in it. It's the Rose City colorway. I like the fact that they signify that it's Continental Tire rubber on this pair. Not every colorway has them. There's only a select few colorways that do. And the D-Lillard logo on the back, although I honestly, the right shoe is a backwards D-Lillard logo, and I friggin' hate it. It looks dumb as hell. I don't know why they didn't just put it on the proper way, but it's so stupid looking. But the D-Lillard logo on the proper one looks pretty cool. Now, as I mentioned before, there are a lot of different versions of the shoe, and that honestly is one of my problems with them. Adidas has this thing where they like to change materials between colorways of shoes, and I think it's a dumb move on their part. There's no consistency. You can't buy one colorway and expect it to perform exactly like another colorway because they're constantly changing materials. Some of the shoes have this knit material here, and some of the colorways have a thicker woven type material, and some of them have a synthetic, and on top of that, some of the shoes have the Continental rubber and some of them don't. And then on top of that, there are some pairs that are made with a prime knit upper that is shaped a lot like the Silhouette, but basically doesn't really share its construction. And those pairs also have the tooling from the Adidas Crazy Light Boost 2015, which is a solid tooling, but it's not as good, I don't think, as this. It has better court feel, but that's about it. It has worse traction, and the boost in the heel is so localized that it doesn't really matter that it's even there. So there's at least 3 to 5 different versions of the shoe, depending on which tiny bit of the shoe they decide to tweak, and it's a little infuriating because finding a pair that had the bounce cushioning and the Continental rubber was slightly difficult, and it shouldn't be like that between models of the same shoe. Every shoe that you get for a model, save for maybe 1 or 2 special editions, should be the exact same material, and that's just not the case with Adidas lately, and definitely not on the D-Lillard 2. Another problem I had with this specific shoe is just the fact that the initial colorway they dropped, the Rip City colorway, the one with the gum sole and the white upper and the red and black heel counter, dropped in late December 2015 in a limited run, and it was supposed to drop in late January 2016 as a general release. And the shoe apparently had a defect. They had to recall them, and they were going to release them again in February or March. And February and March came and went, and they didn't drop the shoe. So it's been a little difficult to find a pair of those. I've still been looking on eBay every once in a while, and it'd just be really great if Adidas dropped that colorway, because I would snatch those up in a heartbeat. So is the D-Lillard 2 worth your money? In short, yeah. This is a solid performing shoe, and it's $105. It's literally the cheapest signature shoe on the market today, and it performs better than shoes that cost $100 more than it. And it's a signature shoe of one of the best players in basketball right now. Damian Lillard was, other than Steph Curry, maybe the best player in the NBA after the All-Star break this year, after he got snubbed for being in the All-Star game. He went out and he showed that he's on par or better than a lot of the guards in the league and some of the ones that made the All-Star game. And for you to be able to get a shoe that's his signature shoe for such a low price and for it to perform as well as it does, that's a steal. Now, comparing the shoe to other top shoes on the market today, the Under Armour Curry 2, I don't think this is good as the Curry 2. The Curry 2 has better fit and traction and court feel, but it's comparable in some of those areas, and it costs $25 less. The Soldier 9 has the same kind of ample cushioning and good comfort with solid fit, but it does those things a little better than this shoe again. But that shoe costs a fair bit more than this shoe. The shoe that would compare most to this shoe, I think, in terms of feel underfoot and just while it's on, is the Air Jordan CP 3.9. The CP 3.9 feels very similar underfoot, except this shoe is actually more responsive than that shoe. But the CP 3.9 has elite level lockdown in terms of fit. But once again, this shoe costs $25 less than the CP 3.9. When it comes right down to it, the shoe is a comparable performer to some of the top shoes on the market today, and it costs less than all of them by a fair bit. It's worth a look if you're looking for something affordable that you can ball in and perform well in. It's just a solid basketball shoe. If this review has been helpful to you at all, please comment, like, and subscribe, and follow us on Instagram at Weed City Soul. I'm Richard from Weed City Soul, and until next time, they're just shoes.
Climb on board. We'll go slow and high tempo, light and dark. Hold me hard and mellow. I'm seeing the pain, seeing the pleasure. Nobody but you, body but me.